If you had to choose one quality, just one, that could change the entire course of the world, what would you choose? Would you choose sheer intelligence, the force of willpower, or perhaps resilience in the face of hardship? Many might be tempted to point toward knowledge itself. After all, knowledge is power. But I invite you to consider something deeper, something more primal. Curiosity. Curiosity is not simply the hunger for facts. It is the spark that ignites every pursuit of knowledge in the first place. Without curiosity, knowledge would remain undiscovered, dormant, hidden in the shadows. Curiosity is the first movement of the human spirit toward the unknown. Throughout history, every invention, every discovery, every leap forward in art, science, and philosophy began with a question. A child stares at the stars and wonders what they are. An inventor looks at a broken machine and wonders how it could be made better. An artist sees the colors of the sky and wonders how to capture them on canvas. That wondering, that restless, almost playful impulse to ask, why? What if? How could it be different? Is the force that has kept humanity evolving for millennia. So, as you listen to these words, I ask you, when was the last time you allowed yourself to be guided by pure curiosity? Not by obligation, not by fear of failure, not by the desire for achievement, but by the simple, almost childlike need to know? I encourage you to hold that question as we walk through this journey together, because this audiobook is not just about the history of curiosity or its role in the lives of great thinkers. It is also about you and the ember of wonder that still glows within you, even if you have forgotten it amidst the noise of daily life. Imagine curiosity as a key that does not merely unlock one door, but countless doors in an endless hallway. Each door leads to another question, another possibility, another mystery waiting to be unraveled. This is why the curious mind never grows old. It is always discovering, always exploring, always stepping into a new room with new wonders. And this is the gift we all possess, if only we dare to turn the key. Even now, as you listen, I want to invite you into a moment of reflection and interaction. Wherever you are, whatever time it may be, whether morning light is streaming through your window or midnight silence surrounds you, pause for just a second and notice your own setting. I would love for you to share in the comments where you're listening from and what hour of the day you're hearing these words. And if you wish to stay with us in every story, in every exploration of the hidden powers of the mind and spirit, take a moment to subscribe to Audiobook Sanctuary and turn on the bell notification. Because this is only the beginning of a journey, and I don't want you to miss the doors we're about to open. Now, let us return to that ember of curiosity. When a child touches water for the first time, it is not knowledge that drives them, but wonder. When early humans lit their first fires, it was not because they had a textbook on combustion. It was because they dared to wonder what would happen if two stones struck together. The story of humanity is, in truth, the story of curiosity unfolding. It is the root of every exploration, from crossing oceans to exploring galaxies, from discovering medicine to unraveling the code of life itself. But let us not imagine curiosity only as grand. It is also in the smallest acts of living. It is in the way you taste a new food, the way you pick up a book outside your usual interests, the way you wonder what a stranger's life is like. These little sparks may seem insignificant, but they are part of the same flame that has carried humanity forward through centuries. And yet in our modern world, with endless information at our fingertips, we risk forgetting this sacred flame. We think we already know because the answer can be found in seconds on a glowing screen. But knowing facts is not the same as being alive with wonder. Knowledge without curiosity is stale. Curiosity without knowledge is directionless. The magic happens when the two meet, when curiosity compels us to search, and knowledge becomes the treasure we uncover. So let this be our starting point. Not a lecture, not a set of instructions, but a reminder that within you lies a fire that once lit your childhood, and it is still there, waiting to be kindled again. Curiosity is not only the beginning of knowledge, it is the beginning of life itself. It is the memento of youth, the guarantee that the mind, so long as it continues to ask, will never truly age. And as we step into this journey together, I invite you to imagine curiosity, not just as an idea, but as a living companion walking beside you. For it is curiosity that has been the seed of every discovery humanity has ever known. And now, it is time for us to trace its roots, to see how this maverick flame has shaped civilizations, illuminated genius, and continues to beckon us toward new horizons. Let us take the first step back into history, to the dawn of human exploration, and ask, how did this tiny spark of curiosity ignite the grand adventure of mankind? Picture a young boy sitting quietly in a small town in Germany, his eyes not fixed on the games of other children, but on the compass his father had given him. That boy was Albert Einstein. He noticed how the needle always pointed north, no matter how he turned it. To many, it was a simple object, a tool. To him, it was a mystery that demanded an answer. Why should something invisible, something unseen, have the power to move a piece of metal? That moment planted in him the seed of wonder that would eventually blossom into the theory of relativity. Einstein did not begin with equations or formulas. He began with curiosity, a child's refusal to accept things as they appear. This is what makes curiosity so powerful. It breaks the spell of that's just how things are. Einstein's genius was not that he was smarter than every other person alive, but that he never stopped asking simple, childlike questions. What would it feel like to ride on a beam of light? If gravity pulls everything down, why does the moon not fall to the earth? In the end, these innocent questions led him to rewrite the very laws of physics. He never treated curiosity as a stage to outgrow, but as a lifelong companion, and this was his secret. Think of how different history might be if Einstein had ignored those questions, if he had dismissed them as trivial, if he had said to himself, someone must already know the answer, so why bother? Instead, he allowed his curiosity to guide him, even when others thought his ideas were strange or impractical. In doing so, he gave humanity a new understanding of space, time, and energy. And Einstein was not alone. Centuries earlier in Florence, another man was peering at the world with eyes that refused to be satisfied with the surface of things. Leonardo da Vinci filled thousands of pages with sketches, ideas, and questions. Why does a bird's wing move the way it does? How does water swirl when it hits a rock? What lies inside the human body beneath the skin? He dissected cadavers, he sketched flying machines, he mapped rivers and landscapes, not because he had a clear purpose, but because he could not rest until he knew. Leonardo's brilliance was not in choosing one field and mastering it, but in allowing curiosity to lead him in all directions. His notebooks are a testament to a mind that never closed its doors, a mind that treated every corner of existence as worthy of exploration. When he painted the Mona Lisa, it was not only the skill of his hand that made her smile so captivating. It was his insatiable curiosity about human expression, about the soul that hides behind the face. Now let us fast forward to our own times, to the bustling streets of California, where a young man with restless energy was tinkering with electronics in a garage. Steve Jobs was not a scientist in the classical sense, but curiosity was at the center of everything he did. He questioned not just how machines worked, but how people felt when they touched them. He asked why technology had to be cold and complicated, when it could be simple, beautiful, and human-centered. His curiosity did not stop at circuits and codes. It reached into calligraphy, design, music, and philosophy. All of it, seemingly unrelated, converged into the creation of devices that changed the way we communicate, create, and live. Jobs' story reminds us that curiosity is not just about gathering knowledge. It is about making connections between things others overlook. The dots only connect when you are willing to explore more dots than anyone else. His curiosity turned Apple into a symbol of innovation, not by following market trends, but by asking different questions. What if a computer could be personal? What if a phone could be more than a phone? What if music could fit in your pocket? These three lives, Einstein, Leonardo, Jobs, are very different in time, culture, and field. Yet beneath their genius runs the same current, an unshakable commitment to curiosity. They prove to us that curiosity is not optional for greatness. It is essential. It is the lifeblood of discovery, the root system from which every branch of genius grows. But here is something important to remember. Curiosity does not always look glamorous. It often looks like sitting with a question no one else finds interesting, staring at the same problem longer than others are willing to. It means risking ridicule, as Einstein did when his theories seemed impossible, or risking failure, as Jobs did when his bold ideas pushed Apple near collapse before success. Curiosity is not always comfortable, but it is always fertile. And so I ask you, what is the question in your own heart that will not leave you alone? What puzzle whispers to you in quiet moments? What curiosity have you buried beneath busyness or fear of being judged? The great minds of history teach us that those whispers are not to be ignored. They are the beginnings of something larger, something that could change not only your life, but perhaps the lives of others as well. This is the legacy of Einstein, Leonardo, and Jobs. Not only their discoveries, but their example of staying faithful to their curiosity. They remind us that questions are more valuable than answers, because answers end the search, but questions keep it alive. So let us carry their lesson forward. But before we do, we must face a challenge. Not all curiosity is equal. Some questions nourish us, expand us, lead us forward. Others, however, merely distract us, pull us away from purpose, and waste the precious gift of wonder. If curiosity is the fire that fuels genius, how do we tell the difference between a flame that warms and a flame that burns aimlessly? Curiosity is like a river. It can nourish entire landscapes, carving valleys of innovation and feeding the roots of discovery. But just as easily, it can overflow its banks, flooding into every direction without purpose, leaving little of true value behind. To understand the real power of curiosity, we must learn to tell the difference between the curiosity that builds and the curiosity that scatters, between the kind that opens doors and the kind that merely distracts us from stepping through them. Consider this. Useful curiosity is the question that deepens understanding, that compels us to learn, to connect, to improve. It is the curiosity that makes you wonder, not just what happened, but why it happened and what could happen next. It is the fuel of problem solving, of creativity, of empathy, of When Einstein asked what it would feel like to ride a beam of light, his curiosity did not stop at the thrill of imagination. It guided him into equations and experiments that changed physics forever. On the other hand, there is useless curiosity. It is the fleeting, surface-level impulse that consumes time, but leaves us emptier than before. It is the endless scroll through trivial news stories, the gossip about people's lives that adds nothing to our own, the obsession with details that neither inspire nor transform. This kind of curiosity feeds restlessness, but not growth. It is the difference between looking at the stars and asking, "What does it all mean?" versus clicking through headlines to see which celebrity argued with whom this week. One lifts you upward, the other drains your hours. This is not to say that lighthearted or playful curiosity has no place. It certainly does. Even silly questions can bring joy or laughter, and joy itself is valuable. But when curiosity becomes a habit of distraction, when it keeps us from focusing on what matters, then it is no longer a gift. It is a thief. We live in a time when distraction disguises itself as curiosity, and that is perhaps our greatest danger. Never before in human history have we had so many answers available in an instant. Yet, paradoxically, never before have we risked losing the patience to ask the deeper questions. Imagine Leonardo da Vinci in today's world, bombarded by notifications, overwhelmed by 1,000 trivial curiosities competing for his attention. Would he have still found time to dissect cadavers, to map rivers, to sketch the blueprints of flying machines? Or would he have drowned in distractions, pulled away by endless minor wonders that never added up to true discovery? The truth is, even Leonardo's boundless curiosity was disciplined. He recorded what he learned, he pursued his questions systematically, and he returned to them over and over again until patterns emerged. His curiosity was not chaotic, it was cultivated. And this is the heart of the lesson. Useful curiosity is guided curiosity. It is not about asking every question, it is about asking the right questions. It is about shaping your attention like a beam of light, focusing on the mysteries that matter most to your soul and your work. Useless curiosity, in contrast, is scattered, unfocused, a candle flickering in the wind that lights nothing clearly. Think about your own life. How often does your curiosity serve as a compass, pointing you toward growth, new skills, or deeper understanding? And how often does it scatter you, leading you down endless rabbit holes of trivia, drama, or shallow distraction? This is not a condemnation. It is a reminder. For each of us has only so much energy, only so much time, only so much wonder to give. When we squander curiosity on what does not matter, we starve the questions that could have transformed us. Useful curiosity is marked by a sense of expansion. You feel yourself growing, your perspective widening, your mind stretching toward new horizons. It is challenging, yes, but in the best way. Useless curiosity, on the other hand, leaves you stagnant, like drinking salt water. It gives the illusion of satisfaction, but deepens your thirst. There is also a subtle difference in emotion. Useful curiosity carries with it a quiet excitement, a sense of wonder, even reverence. It humbles you before the vastness of what you do not know, yet energizes you to explore further. Useless curiosity often carries restlessness, anxiety, or boredom, a frantic need to fill silence with anything at all. It is not born of wonder, but of avoidance. And so, if we wish to reclaim the power of curiosity, we must learn the art of discernment. We must pause when a question arises within us and ask, does this curiosity bring me closer to truth, to growth, to creativity? Or does it scatter me? leaving me further from the life I seek? Over time, this practice transforms curiosity from a wild, wandering impulse into a disciplined ally. The truth is, the greatest minds of history did not merely have more curiosity than others. They had wiser curiosity. They nurtured the kinds of questions that mattered. They invested their attention like a precious currency, refusing to spend it carelessly. And that, perhaps, is the most important choice each of us must make. What kind of curiosity will we cultivate? For once we know the difference, we can begin to train ourselves. We can practice seeking out questions that challenge us, that open us, that push us into discomfort for the sake of growth. We can redirect ourselves when we notice the lure of shallow curiosities, reminding ourselves that every question we chase either builds us or diminishes us. And this is where our journey must now turn. For if useful curiosity is to become more than an idea, it must be nurtured daily. It must become a habit woven into the fabric of ordinary life. How then do we make curiosity not just an occasional spark, but a constant flame? What practices can awaken in us the kind of curiosity that grows with each passing day? That is the question we now step toward. Curiosity, like a flame, cannot burn brightly unless it is tended. Left alone, it flickers and fades, smothered by the routines and obligations of daily life. But when we feed it gently and consistently, it becomes a steady fire, one that illuminates the path of learning and growth. The challenge, then, is not whether we are curious, because every human being is born with this instinct. It is whether we choose to nurture it as adults, and that requires practice, discipline, and deliberate habits. One of the most powerful ways to nurture curiosity is through reading widely and deeply. Reading is not simply the act of collecting information. It is the stretching of the mind into spaces it has never known. Too often we confine ourselves to the familiar shelves, novels in our favorite genre, news sources that confirm what we already believe, subjects we already understand. True curiosity demands more. It asks us to step into the unfamiliar, to pick up a book we might normally ignore, to listen to voices that challenge our worldview. Each time you read something outside your comfort zone, you place yourself in the fertile soil where new ideas can take root. Reading, however, is only the beginning. Curiosity thrives when it is paired with experimentation. To read about something is to see the map. To try it yourself is to walk the terrain. Think of a child learning not by lecture, but by touching, tasting, and testing. Adults often forget this. We become afraid of failure, hesitant to experiment, satisfied with theory instead of practice. But curiosity is restless. It wants to touch reality. Whether it is trying a new recipe, learning a new skill, or exploring a hobby you know nothing about, experimentation is how curiosity stretches into life. Each small test becomes a spark, and sometimes that spark grows into a fire you did not expect. Perhaps most importantly, curiosity is kept alive through the art of asking questions. Children bombard the world with why and how and what if, but as we age, many of us lose that habit. We trade questions for answers, wonder for certainty. Yet questions are the very breath of curiosity. To practice curiosity daily is to bring back the art of questioning, of yourself, of others, of the world. Instead of assuming you know, pause and ask. Instead of rushing past, linger and wonder. The question may be simple, but its effects are profound. For example, when speaking with someone, instead of waiting for your turn to talk, ask them what excites them most about their work. Ask what they've learned recently that surprised them. Ask how they see the world differently from you. Questions like these not only deepen relationships, they also expand your own horizon. Curiosity in conversation transforms ordinary exchanges into moments of discovery. In your work, cultivate the habit of questioning assumptions. Why do we do things this way? What would happen if we tried something different? What problem are we really trying to solve? The most innovative breakthroughs in history often began with someone daring to ask a question everyone else overlooked. By making it a practice, you sharpen your ability to see beyond the obvious. There is also a practice of mindful observation. Curiosity often hides in the ordinary. When you step outside, notice the patterns in the sky, the shapes of leaves, the way light changes through the day. When you cook, notice how flavors shift as ingredients blend. When you commute, pay attention to the faces, the architecture, the movement of people. Curiosity is not always about the grand and dramatic. Sometimes it is the discipline of noticing what has always been there, but unseen. Of course, cultivating curiosity also requires courage. Because curiosity often leads us into the unknown, it asks us to leave behind the safety of certainty. This is why many abandon it. They fear being wrong, they fear looking foolish, they fear the discomfort of not knowing. To keep curiosity alive, you must accept that not knowing is not weakness. It is the beginning of wisdom. The more comfortable you become with uncertainty, the freer your curiosity will grow. Think of curiosity as a muscle. It strengthens only with use. Each day you either exercise it or neglect it. The small daily practices, reading something unusual, experimenting with something new, asking deeper questions, noticing what is overlooked, are the push-ups and stretches that keep the muscle strong. And like any muscle, once it grows, it empowers every part of your life. So here is a challenge. Choose one deliberate act of curiosity every day. Just one. Pick up a book on a subject you know nothing about. Ask a question in a meeting you might normally hold back. Try cooking with an ingredient you have never used. Each act is small, but over time they weave a fabric of wonder that keeps your spirit alive. Curiosity is not a luxury. It is a necessity for growth. Without it, the mind stiffens, the heart dulls, and life becomes mechanical. With it, even the most ordinary days become filled with possibilities. That is the gift of nurturing curiosity daily. It transforms the mundane into the miraculous. And now, having seen how to keep curiosity alive in daily life, we must ask, what happens when we carry this flame into our work and careers? How can curiosity not only enrich us personally, but also become the force that drives innovation, creativity, and progress in the world of work? Work is often spoken of in terms of discipline, strategy, efficiency, and results. Yet behind every breakthrough in the workplace, every innovation in industry, every improvement in process, there has always been another, quieter force at play: curiosity. Without curiosity, work becomes mechanical, a repetition of what has already been done. With curiosity, work becomes alive, a laboratory of discovery where each task is not just a duty, but an opportunity to see differently, to ask, what if, to challenge, why not? Think of the greatest leaps in human work and commerce. The Industrial Revolution did not emerge from people simply repeating the same methods. It came because inventors and engineers dared to ask whether machines could do what hands alone once did. In the digital revolution, programmers, designers, and entrepreneurs did not stop at what was functional. They asked how technology could be more human, more seamless, more intuitive. Every workplace, no matter how small or ordinary it may seem, carries within it this same potential, waiting for curiosity to stir it awake. Curiosity in work begins with the refusal to accept things as they are, simply because that's how we've always done it. That phrase has killed more innovation than failure ever could. A curious mind instead asks, is this process still serving us? Could it be simpler, faster, more elegant? Is there a better way hidden just beneath the surface? This is not rebellion for its own sake. It is loyalty to improvement, to progress, to growth. Consider Thomas Edison in his laboratory, surrounded by prototypes, most of them failures. His invention of the light bulb was not the result of one stroke of genius, but thousands of small experiments guided by relentless curiosity. Each failure was a question answered, and each question led him closer to the answer he sought. Edison's work was labor, yes, but it was also a playground of possibilities. His curiosity made the difference between giving up and pushing through, between despair and discovery. Curiosity also shapes how we solve problems in the workplace. Many people approach problems with frustration, eager to eliminate them as quickly as possible. But the curious worker approaches problems with fascination. Instead of asking only, how do we fix this? They also ask, what is this problem teaching us? What pattern does it reveal? What opportunity might it hide? In this way, problems become not obstacles, but invitations, doorways to solutions that might never have been considered otherwise. And what of creativity in work? Creativity does not descend like lightning from the heavens. It arises from curiosity woven into the daily fabric of labor. The curious employee does not wait for inspiration. They create conditions where inspiration is inevitable, simply by paying attention differently. They notice the gaps others overlook, the inefficiencies others accept, the possibilities others dismiss. In a meeting, they ask the question that shifts the conversation. In a project, they test the idea no one else dared to. Over time, these small acts of curiosity accumulate into cultures of innovation. This is especially true in fields that thrive on reinvention: technology, design, medicine, education. But it is no less true in any ordinary office, shop, or factory. A curious teacher reimagines a lesson to spark engagement. A curious manager looks for new ways to motivate their team. A curious worker notices a shortcut that saves hours. Curiosity democratizes innovation. It belongs not only to the great inventors, but to anyone willing to keep asking questions. Curiosity also makes work more meaningful. So often, people fall into the trap of monotony, doing their tasks without thought, forgetting why they matter. But when curiosity enters, even simple jobs gain depth. You begin to ask, how does my role connect to the larger whole? What impact does this small act have on others? How can I improve the experience, not just complete the task? Suddenly, work is not only about output, it is about discovery and contribution. Of course, curiosity in work requires courage. To ask questions in the workplace can feel risky. You might fear appearing ignorant or challenging authority. Yet history shows us that the workers and leaders who dared to be curious, who questioned, who experimented, who sought better ways, were the ones who transformed industries. Curiosity, expressed with respect and sincerity, is not a threat, but a gift to any team or organization. Let us not forget that curiosity also brings joy into work. Imagine the difference between a workplace where tasks are performed out of obligation and one where tasks are approached with wonder. In the first, people count the minutes until the day is done. In the second, people leave energized because they have discovered something new, however small. Curiosity makes work not only productive but alive, infusing it with the same spirit that drives explorers, artists, and inventors. And so, as we look at curiosity in work, we see its power to drive improvement, creativity, problem-solving, and meaning. But work is only one sphere of human endeavor. There is another realm where curiosity has built empires, toppled giants, and sparked revolutions, the world of business. For in business, curiosity does more than improve. It disrupts, reinvents, and redefines. How then does curiosity transform not only the work of individuals, but the destinies of entire organizations? Business, at its heart, is not simply about transactions. It is about transformation. Companies that endure and flourish are not those that merely deliver a product or a service. They are the ones that continually reinvent themselves, discovering new ways to meet human needs. And behind every reinvention, every bold pivot, every industry-shaking idea, there is one essential fuel: curiosity. Curiosity in business begins with the willingness to question assumptions. Too often, businesses cling to familiar models long after they have lost their relevance. "This is how we've always done it" becomes not only a statement, but a prison. A curious leader, however, sees the cracks forming before others do. They ask, why do customers really choose us? What unspoken needs are going unmet? What trends are emerging at the edges of our industry? These questions are not mere speculation. They are survival. For businesses that stop being curious soon stop being alive. History gives us many examples. Take Netflix. In its early years, it was a DVD rental company mailing discs in red envelopes. A stagnant company might have stayed there, comfortable in its niche, but Netflix was curious. It asked, what if movies could be delivered digitally instead? Later it asked, what if we created our own shows instead of just delivering others? That curiosity propelled it to reshape global entertainment, toppling giants like Blockbuster and redefining how billions of people experience stories. Apple, too, provides a lesson. When Steve Jobs returned to the company in the late 1990s, Apple was on the brink of collapse. Jobs' relentless curiosity did not stop at making computers faster. He wondered how technology could be more personal, more beautiful, more integrated into daily life. Out of those questions came the iPod, the iPhone, the iPad, products that did not merely compete in the market, but created entirely new markets. This is what curiosity does in business. It turns companies into pioneers rather than followers. But curiosity in business does not belong only to CEOs. It belongs to everyone inside an organization. The frontline worker who wonders why customers keep asking the same question is practicing curiosity. The marketing intern who notices a pattern in feedback and asks whether it signals a larger need is practicing curiosity. The manager who experiments with a new process simply because they are unwilling to accept inefficiency is practicing curiosity. Curiosity democratizes innovation. It ensures that fresh ideas are not limited to boardrooms, but emerge wherever questions are asked. And what of failure? In business, failure is inevitable, but curiosity transforms failure from an ending into a teacher. When a campaign falls flat, a curious company asks, why did this message not resonate? When a product underperforms, curiosity seeks the hidden lesson. What unmet desire does this reveal? When markets shift, curiosity prevents panic by transforming disruption into an opportunity for reinvention. In this way, curiosity builds resilience, turning losses into stepping stones. There is also a deeper dimension. Curiosity humanizes business. Customers are not statistics or data points. They are people with stories, fears, desires, and dreams. A company that is curious about its customers listens differently. It does not only ask what people buy, but why they buy. It does not only track behavior, but seeks meaning. This is how businesses build loyalty, not by selling harder, but by listening deeper. Curiosity makes a company empathetic, and empathy makes a company indispensable. Yet, Cultivating curiosity in business is not automatic. It requires creating cultures where questions are welcomed, not punished, where experiments are encouraged, not ridiculed, where exploration is valued alongside execution. A culture without curiosity soon hardens into bureaucracy. A culture of curiosity, by contrast, pulses with energy, ideas, and adaptability. Leaders who protect and reward curiosity are not indulging weakness. They are cultivating the soil from which future breakthroughs will grow. Think also about the role of curiosity in entrepreneurs. Every entrepreneur begins with a question. What if this problem could be solved differently? What if this need could be met in a new way? Without curiosity, there would be no startups, no disruptors, no daring experiments that challenge the old order. Curiosity is the root of entrepreneurship itself, the courage to wonder what does not yet exist and to test whether it can. As we consider this, let us pause for a moment of reflection. If you are part of a business, large or small, what question is not being asked? What assumption is being left unchallenged? What curiosity could breathe fresh life into your work? These are not idle questions. They are the levers of transformation. Business thrives on curiosity because curiosity is the bridge between what is and what could be. It is the difference between repeating yesterday and creating tomorrow. And when curiosity becomes the heartbeat of a company, the company itself becomes timeless, forever young, forever exploring. But curiosity is not only a tool for organizations, it is a lifeline for individuals as well. For beyond products and profits lies something deeper, the vitality of the human spirit. What does curiosity mean for our inner lives, our sense of energy, our ability to stay youthful, not just in body but in mind? That is where we now turn. To speak of curiosity is to speak of youth, not the youth measured by the years of the body, but the youth carried within the mind and heart. A person may have lived 6 decades or more, yet if curiosity still burns within them, they remain as vibrant as a child standing at the edge of the sea for the very first time. Conversely, one may be only 20, yet already old in spirit, dulled by certainty, convinced they have nothing left to learn. Curiosity is not simply a trait, it is a fountain of renewal, a way of keeping the mind forever supple, the spirit forever awake. Throughout life, curiosity becomes our anchor in the shifting tides of time. The world changes, industries rise and fall, technologies reshape our daily existence. Those who cling only to what they already know are left behind, but those who remain curious adapt, learn, and thrive. They are not paralyzed by the unknown because they welcome it. Each change is not a threat, but an adventure. This is why lifelong learners so often appear younger than their years. They do not resist the new, they pursue it. Think of those elders who continue to learn languages, travel to new countries, take up painting or music well into their later years. Their eyes sparkle with the same wonder as a child discovering fireflies. Their bodies may slow, but their spirits race ahead, fueled by curiosity. This is the secret of vitality. Curiosity is not merely intellectual, it is deeply emotional. It keeps hope alive, keeps boredom at bay, keeps the heart attuned to beauty. And this is why curiosity must never be treated as optional. It is not a hobby for philosophers or artists. It is the very breath of a full life. A curious person never grows stale in their relationships because they keep asking, who is this person becoming? How can I know them more deeply? They never stagnate in their career because they ask, what else can I learn? What else can I contribute? They never sink into despair as easily because curiosity whispers, what possibility might tomorrow hold that today cannot yet see? Curiosity also makes us humble, and humility is youth. The arrogant insist they already know. The curious admit they do not. The arrogant shut doors. The curious open them. The arrogant grow rigid. The curious stay flexible. And flexibility, both of mind and spirit, is what allows us to keep dancing with the ever-changing rhythm of life. But perhaps most importantly, curiosity invites us back to wonder. As children, we live in wonder, at the sky, at ants on the ground, at the taste of something sweet. Slowly, responsibilities, routines, and disappointments dull that sense. We begin to say, "I've seen this before." Curiosity reawakens us. It makes us notice again the colors of a sunset, the intricate beauty of a flower, the surprising thought in a book, the hidden kindness in a stranger's face. Wonder is youth, and curiosity is the gateway to it. It is not always easy to remain curious, of course. Life hardens us. We encounter failures, betrayals, losses. These can make us protective, skeptical, even cynical. But here lies a paradox. Curiosity is not destroyed by hardship. It is often deepened by it. Those who have suffered and yet remain curious about life become some of the wisest, most resilient souls. Instead of saying, "I've had enough, I want no more," they say, "Even in this pain, what can I learn? What meaning can I uncover?" Their curiosity does not erase sorrow, but it transforms it into growth. This is why, in every tradition of wisdom, curiosity is tied to the idea of staying childlike. Not childish, but childlike. To keep alive that freshness of spirit, that willingness to ask, that refusal to be dulled by familiarity. For in truth, there is nothing ordinary about life. It only seems ordinary when curiosity is absent. With curiosity, the most common day becomes a miracle. So if you desire to stay forever young, do not chase only the body's youth, for it will fade no matter how tightly you grasp it. Chase the youth of the mind, the youth of the soul, the youth that comes from never ceasing to wonder, never ceasing to learn. That is a kind of youth that no wrinkle can touch, no age can dim. And this leads us naturally to the next question. If curiosity keeps us youthful and alive, what does it look like when we apply that vitality to our work and to our organizations? How does curiosity not only keep us fresh as individuals, but also breathe fresh energy into the way we labor, create, and contribute? When curiosity enters the workplace, something remarkable happens. The dull routine of tasks transforms into a living laboratory. What was once just a job becomes a field of exploration, a place where new paths can be discovered. Curiosity does not only make individuals youthful, it also breathes youth into work itself, keeping it dynamic, creative, and adaptable. Think of the difference between two employees facing the same assignment. One approaches it with the mindset of completion. Finish it quickly, move on, get it off the list. The other approaches with curiosity. How does this task fit into the bigger picture? Is there a better way to do it? Could I learn a skill here that might help me elsewhere? The task may be the same, but the experience is entirely different. For the first, work is draining. For the second, work is energizing. This distinction ripples outward. A curious worker often sparks curiosity in others. Their questions encourage teammates to think differently, to notice overlooked details, to challenge old habits. In this way, curiosity becomes contagious, spreading through meetings, projects, and collaborations until the culture of the workplace itself begins to shift. A team that once repeated old formulas now finds itself alive with fresh ideas. Consider the field of medicine. Doctors and researchers who remain curious are the ones who push beyond standard treatments to discover breakthroughs. The development of vaccines, cures, and therapies has always begun with someone asking, "Is there another way? What have we missed?" In contrast, when curiosity dies, medicine stagnates and patients suffer. The same is true in education. Curious teachers inspire students not merely to memorize, but to ask their own questions, to love learning itself. Wherever work is touched by curiosity, it becomes transformative. Curiosity also fosters resilience in work. In any career, obstacles are inevitable. Failed projects, missed targets, unexpected crises. For those without curiosity, these obstacles feel final, crushing, even humiliating. But the curious mind responds differently. It asks, "What can this teach me? How might this setback point to a better direction?" In this way, curiosity turns obstacles into teachers, setbacks into stepping stones. Work becomes not a straight line to success, but a journey of discovery. Leaders who cultivate curiosity in their organizations unlock immense potential. They encourage employees not only to execute, but to explore. Instead of punishing questions, they reward them. Instead of demanding rigid conformity, they invite experimentation. The result is not chaos, but creativity. For when curiosity is valued, people feel free to bring forth their ideas, and often the most surprising voices hold the keys to the greatest innovations. We see this in companies that redefine industries. Google's policy of allowing employees time to explore side projects produced products that millions use daily. 3M, the company behind Post-it notes, became legendary not only for its inventions, but for its culture of curiosity that encouraged tinkering. These examples remind us that curiosity in work is not an indulgence. It is a strategy for survival and growth. Yet curiosity at work is not limited to grand innovation. It shows up in the smallest moments, an employee asking a customer what they truly need rather than assuming, a manager listening to fresh ideas from junior staff, a technician exploring a more efficient way to fix a machine. These small acts, multiplied across days and teams, create workplaces that do not stagnate but continually evolve. At the personal level, curiosity at work also protects us from burnout. When work is seen only as a series of demands, it drains us. But when work is seen as a place of learning and discovery, it energizes us. The curious worker leaves each day not just tired, but enriched, having learned something new, however small. This sense of growth fuels motivation, making careers not just sustainable, but joyful. And so we see that curiosity in work is far more than a soft virtue. It is the hidden force behind innovation, resilience, and meaning. It keeps individuals engaged, teams creative, and organizations alive. But the question remains, if curiosity transforms the way we work, how much more can it transform the way we build and run businesses? How does curiosity not only affect tasks and teams, but the very engines of commerce and enterprise? To answer this, we must step into the world of business itself and see how curiosity has the power to disrupt industries, create empires, and redefine the future. Business is often spoken of in terms of numbers, profits, losses, market share, and growth charts. But beneath those numbers lies something far more human, the act of imagining and delivering something new to the world. And imagination, without curiosity, cannot exist. Every successful business story begins with a question, and every enduring company survives by never stopping its questions. Consider the story of Airbnb. At its start, two young designers in San Francisco noticed something simple. Hotels during large events were too expensive, and many people had spare rooms or apartments sitting empty. Their curiosity was not about creating a massive industry. It was a simple, human question. What if strangers could stay in each other's homes? It seemed odd, even risky. But that small spark of curiosity grew into a global company that disrupted hospitality. It was not data or funding that created Airbnb. It was the courage to let curiosity lead. Or look at Amazon. In the beginning, Jeff Bezos asked, what product could be sold more efficiently online than in stores? He began with books, but his curiosity never stopped there. Each time one question was answered, another arose. What if we could sell everything? What if we could deliver in 2 days? What if we could store data for other companies? This chain of questions transformed a modest online bookstore into a company that reshaped global commerce and cloud computing. What these stories reveal is that business is not driven only by competition, it is driven by curiosity. Competition alone says, how can we be better than them? Curiosity says, what if the whole game could be played differently? Competition sharpens edges, but curiosity changes landscapes. Curiosity in business also protects against complacency. Many companies succeed once and then stop asking questions. They assume what worked yesterday will work tomorrow. Blockbuster is the famous example. While Netflix was asking, what if we stream movies instead of mailing them? Blockbuster was clinging to late fees and rental stores. Their lack of curiosity cost them everything. The lesson is clear. In business, the death of curiosity is the death of relevance. But curiosity does not only serve companies, it serves customers. A business curious about its customers listens differently. It asks not only, what are people buying, but why are they buying it? What need, what fear, what dream lies beneath this choice? When curiosity about customers is genuine, businesses begin to see people not as transactions, but as partners in a shared story. This is why the most beloved brands feel personal. They are built on curiosity about human lives. Curiosity also drives innovation within teams. When employees feel safe to ask, why do we do it this way? Or what if we tried something else? The business gains dozens, hundreds, even thousands of eyes scanning for opportunity. Innovation is no longer top-down, it flows in every direction. This is how businesses remain agile in rapidly changing times. And yet, curiosity in business requires courage. It requires leaders who are willing to admit they don't know all the answers, willing to test, to risk, to learn. It requires organizations to accept that not every question will lead to immediate profit, but every question keeps the spirit of discovery alive. In this sense, curiosity is not a cost, it is an investment. Curiosity also brings humanity back into business. When leaders are curious about their employees, they see beyond job titles. They discover hidden talents, passions, and strengths. When teams are curious about each other, collaboration deepens. When companies are curious about society, they find ways to serve not just their shareholders, but their communities and the planet. In this way, curiosity makes business not only profitable, but meaningful. So let us return to the heart of the matter. Curiosity is not a luxury in business, it is survival. The world is changing faster than ever, and certainty is fragile. Those who cling to what they know will be left behind. Those who remain curious will continue to adapt, to discover, to create. And now, having explored curiosity in work and in business, we come to an even more personal level. For curiosity is not only about companies or careers, it is about life itself. What does it mean to hold on to curiosity as the source of inner youth? How does curiosity keep us alive even when time marches on? That is the path we now step onto. There comes a moment in every life when the weight of years begins to press upon us. Our bodies remind us of time's passing. Responsibilities crowd our days, and the freshness of childhood seems far away. Yet there are people, men and women of every age, who seem untouched by this heaviness. Their eyes sparkle, their laughter rings, their energy draws others in. The secret is not that they have escaped aging of the body. The secret is that they have preserved curiosity, and in doing so, they have preserved their youth. Curiosity is the inner fountain that keeps the spirit supple. When you wake each day and still find yourself asking questions about the world, about yourself, about others, you are alive in a way that no clock can diminish. The years may add wrinkles, but they cannot dull wonder. The heart that is curious beats with the rhythm of possibility, not resignation. Think of the grandmother who learns how to use a smartphone, not out of necessity, but because she wants to understand her grandchildren's world. Think of the retiree who decides to learn the guitar simply to see what music feels like under their fingers. Think of the traveler who, at 70, still sets out to see landscapes unknown. These are not hobbies to pass the time. They are proof that curiosity keeps the soul forever young. Curiosity also keeps the mind sharp. Neuroscience shows that when we ask questions and seek answers, our brains remain active, forming new connections, resisting decline. But beyond science, there is something deeper. Curiosity makes us humble, and humility is youth. The one who thinks they have nothing left to learn grows old quickly, closed off from growth. The one who says, "I am still a student of life," remains young no matter the year on their birth certificate. Even in relationships, curiosity preserves freshness. Long-term friendships and marriages thrive when partners remain curious about each other. Who are you becoming? What do you dream now? What new sides of you have I not yet seen? Without curiosity, even love can stagnate, turning into routine. With curiosity, love keeps unfolding, as though the other person were a book that never ends. Curiosity also strengthens us in times of difficulty. When hardship arrives, the cynical say, "This is meaningless." But the curious ask, "What can I learn here? What new strength might this awaken in me?" This is not to glorify suffering, but to remind us that curiosity turns even pain into an opportunity for depth. It prevents bitterness by transforming despair into discovery. In this way, curiosity keeps the spirit not only young, but resilient. This is why so many traditions speak of the childlike mind as sacred. To be childlike is not to be naive. It is to remain open. A child looks at the sky and wonders, not assuming. A child touches the earth and marvels, not dismissing. And when we, as adults, recover that childlike wonder, we reconnect with the very essence of life itself. So let us reflect. Where in your life has curiosity grown quiet? Is it in your relationships, where routine has replaced discovery? Is it in your work, where you repeat tasks without asking why? Is it in your own spirit, where certainty has silenced questions? To recover curiosity is to recover youth, not the youth of the body, but the youth of the soul. And this brings us to our final step. For curiosity is more than a personal habit or a workplace skill. It is a human legacy, passed down through generations, shaping civilizations, inspiring revolutions, and ensuring that as long as we remain curious, humanity itself remains young. But what does it mean to hold curiosity, not just for ourselves, but as a gift for the future? That is the question that awaits us now. Curiosity is not only a spark for individuals or fuel for businesses, it is the great inheritance of humanity. From the earliest cave dwellers who painted the walls with images of animals, to the astronomers who charted the heavens, to the engineers who launched rockets into space, curiosity has been the golden thread weaving through our story. It is the invisible companion that has carried us from fire to flight, from stone tools to silicon chips. To lose curiosity would not simply be to lose a habit. It would be to lose what makes us human. Think of how knowledge itself is passed from one generation to another. Parents teach children not merely facts, but the art of asking questions. Teachers open minds not by filling them with answers, but by awakening wonder. Societies thrive not because they have all the answers, but because they cultivate the courage to ask new questions. This is our true legacy. Not only what we know, but our willingness to remain seekers. Curiosity ensures continuity. Each generation inherits mysteries that the previous one could not solve. Some questions take centuries to answer, and some remain eternal. But so long as curiosity endures, so long as children still look at the night sky and wonder, humanity will never stop advancing. We are explorers not only of lands and stars, but of meaning, of beauty, of truth. But curiosity is also deeply personal. Each of us carries within our lives the chance to pass this torch. When you share a story with a child, when you listen to another person's perspective with genuine interest, when you model wonder instead of cynicism, you are contributing to the legacy of curiosity. You are reminding others, silently but powerfully, that life is not something to endure, but something to explore. It is important, too, to remember that curiosity is not about having every answer. In fact, the greatest gift curiosity gives us is peace with not knowing. For in not knowing, we are invited to discover. The curious do not fear uncertainty. They embrace it. They see it not as emptiness, but as space to grow. This is why curious people often radiate vitality. They are not burdened by the weight of needing to control everything. They are liberated by the adventure of exploring. And so, curiosity becomes more than a personal flame. It becomes humanity's lamp, carried through the ages, never fully extinguished. When you choose to remain curious, you are not only enriching your own life, you are helping to keep that lamp burning for those who will come after you. Let us not forget, curiosity has been behind every triumph, but also every moment of simple joy. The joy of trying a new flavor, of meeting a stranger and hearing their story, of picking up a book and finding a new world inside. These are not small things. They are the essence of being alive. So, as we bring this journey to its close, let us return to the truth we began with. Curiosity is not optional. It is life itself. It is the youth of the mind, the root of discovery, the seed of innovation, the bridge between generations. To remain curious is to remain alive in the deepest sense. And here, at the end of our path, I offer you this invitation. Choose one question that has always lingered in your heart, and do not put it off any longer. Explore it. Read about it, talk about it, experiment with it. Let it lead you, even in small steps. For in that act, you honor not only your own soul, but the entire human story of wonder. Curiosity is our human legacy. When we stay curious, we stay alive. When we pass it on, we ensure that the flame of humanity never goes dark. Curiosity is the ember that keeps us young, the spark that keeps humanity moving forward, the gentle whisper that asks, what else is possible? We began with the recognition that every breakthrough, every work of genius, every act of creativity has its roots in curiosity. And as we journeyed together, we traced how that flame appears in Einstein's imagination, in Da Vinci's sketches, in Jobs' relentless drive to connect beauty with technology. We distinguished curiosity that uplifts from curiosity that distracts, and we explored how to cultivate it daily in our reading, our experiments, our questions. We saw how curiosity transforms work from drudgery into discovery, how it breathes innovation into businesses, how it keeps our minds youthful and our spirits alive. And we came to see that curiosity is not only a tool for progress, but a legacy for humanity itself. It is the lamp carried from one generation to the next, the invisible thread weaving through centuries of exploration, art, science, and wonder. The message is simple, yet profound. Curiosity is not something you grow out of. It is something you grow deeper into. The more you nurture it, the richer your life becomes. The less you nurture it, the quicker life grows dull, mechanical, heavy. To keep curiosity alive is to keep your soul awake. So now the challenge is yours. Do not let this audiobook be only words. Let it be an opening. Choose one curiosity that has been sitting quietly in your heart, waiting for you. Maybe it is a subject you always wished you had studied. Maybe it is a skill you have long wanted to try. Maybe it is a question about yourself, your relationships, your world. Whatever it is, let it be the spark that you follow. Not someday, but today. Take one small step. Open a book. Ask a question. Try something new. Share your wonder with someone else. These are not grand gestures. They are the small acts that keep the ember alive. And once lit, it will continue to grow, lighting paths you could not yet imagine. Curiosity is not only for the great minds we admire. It is for you. It is for me. It is for everyone willing to remain open, humble, and alive. And when we live this way, we do not only keep ourselves youthful, we contribute to the unfolding of humanity's greatest story, the endless search for meaning, beauty, and truth. So, as you step away from these words, remember this. When you keep asking, you keep growing. When you keep growing, you keep living. And when you keep living with wonder, you never truly grow old. Stay curious, stay alive, and carry the flame forward.